go ahead and get the recording going here so I can continue to answer these questions because we're already starting to get at it. But any chance you know how to remove these blue columns? Is there an indicator that's on your chart, Luke? There might be an indicator that's on your chart. I would right click your chart. Actually, you know what it might be? It might be, where is it? I think you have after hours. Electronic trading hours. I'd kind of mess around. Canvas. Mess around with some stuff. See if there's any indicators on the chart. I'm not super positive on what that is, though. You see yourself moving to Miami after you spent some time there? I mean, could I live in Miami? Probably, but like, do I want to live in Miami right now? Not really. Not really, no. Would you mind going over drawn liquidity in the charting sessions? You talked about it being the key to your trading. Yeah, of course, we can go over that tonight. I'm live on YouTube. Yeah, we'll do it. Oh no, I feel so bad. I feel so bad. We have to do a live now. Okay. Oh my gosh. My bad, guys. We got to talk about circle. We'll talk about everything that we need to talk about tonight. Let me just change the title then. I guess we're going to do a live charting session. I did not mean to go live, guys. I did not mean to go live. You guys are lucky. You're getting a charting session tonight. We are currently in our call in the mentorship going over this week. So you're lucky. We're in here tonight. You guys got a charting session. Let me, might as well just get a title set up and... That's so funny. Give them a taste of what the Discord's like? Guess so. You guys are going to get a taste of what the mentorship is all about tonight. All right. Make sure everything's good here. Okay, so drawn liquidity is what we want to go over to. Arthur will get that answer tonight. We're going to go over some basic stuff first, and then we'll kind of get into that a little bit. How do I exactly know when to stop trading? We'll talk about that too. Okay. All right, first things first, for the mentorship students, a little announcement that we were talking about earlier that I want to get into to share with you guys is that we are switching over to Circle. Now, the reason we're switching over to Circle from Discord is, number one, we're currently using Podia to host the mentorship videos. So all of the 60 videos of curriculum are on Podia right now. And then we go live and use the Discord as our community. So it's easier for us to, okay, brother, if you're going to spam, you're just going to get banned, brother. It's easier for us to just put all the videos in one place and have our community in one place too. And it's also a change of environment. Freshens up the space a little bit. It's fun to use. Also, Sarah and I are working on the psychology course. For all the people that are watching on YouTube, we just brought on a new member of Tactical Traders. She's been a psychologist and a therapist for the last 10 years. She owns a business. She also is a trader herself. And we are working on genuinely like the best psychology course that I think has probably ever been like actually made in the trading space. I'm super, super excited to show you guys kind of what we've been working on for that with the mentorship students. So a little bit of that. Do you guys have any questions before we kind of jump in, my students, on the circle change or any stuff like that? We're going to obviously start doing sessions later in this week. Right now we're doing it in Discord, just so we can give some time for everybody to get over into circle. They're locked. We'll get it fixed. We're setting it all up right now. So if it's all kind of jagged, it'll be fixed this week. All right. Anyway, let's jump in and let's get to it. So kind of first things first that I want to jump into is just a little bit of analysis on the charts, and then we can jump into question. I know there's a lot of stuff some stuff that you guys want to go over that we can dive into later, but I just want to do a little bit of analysis on the chart, take a look at some news going into the week, see what we kind of want to see. So first things first, going into Monday, 8:30 news on Monday at 8:30. So that's actually great. So we have red folder news going into Monday. So we'll hop on live tomorrow and trade together. We'll see kind of what the data highs or lows looks like. Obviously, where we are in the chart right now, if we can put something in at 8:30 to kind of give us some more clarity as to what we want to do. I know we're kind of starting to contemplate if we want to possibly see a move back to the upside this week, as we've been selling off a lot. But obviously, I'm not just going to hope or expect to see that. We want to be reactive to what price is showing us. We want to let the market tell us what the story is going to be reactive to it. And so right now, order flow is continuously being bearish. So unless stated otherwise, I'm going to continue to have a bearish bias. Tuesday looks like we have CAD news, but no red folder news on Tuesday for US. Wednesday, we have FOMC statement. Do we have a meeting here? Press conference at 2:30. So we'll actually be most likely trading in the PM session on Wednesday. Thursday, 8:30 news as well. Looks good. Friday, no news. So Tuesday, Friday, we don't have news. Everything else looks great. Does that mean that we don't trade? No, but we do have to be aware of kind of see where we are in relationship to price. So first things first, take a look at some charts. And let's talk about what I want to see going into tomorrow. So we talked about this a little bit on Friday of kind of what we wanted to see, but this SMT got put in at the lows. Now, one thing that I want to recognize is this is kind of either the third or the second time that we've put in a bigger time frame SMT low. Now, the other previous times that we've put in an SMT on this move towards the downside, we've broken pretty much every single one of them. So we've had an SMT at the lows on the 4 hour or the 1 hour, and then we've displaced back to the upside, taken some sort of internal high, had another form of manipulation, and then we ran back to the downside to run those lows. So I'm not super set on this SMT right now. Obviously, it's already pretty much done its job, as what I like to say. What's the job of this kind of SMT? It doesn't need to necessarily spark this entire move, but it does most of the time going to spark the move to internal liquidity. So this SMT gets put in. We spark the move to internal liquidity. I want to see going into tomorrow if we want to work back up into this 4 hour for value gap. Now, obviously, we're already in a 4 hour for value gap. I want to see if there's a daily here. Yeah, there is a daily that we're already currently rejecting right now. So I'm definitely going to be continuously bearish as we're still holding that. But I do want to see if this high wants to get taken. There's no bearish SMT so far at these highs. ES and NQ has both taken these highs pretty much. Now, this is kind of the first time we do want to see it lower, though. Internal high was taken. We've had our manipulation at these highs. Internal high gets taken here, and we have our change in the state on the 1 hour. If we can see these last two down closed candles, we've now closed below. We're about to open up this 1 hour for value gap. Actually, it's already opened up. We have a 15-minute for value gap here as well. This is kind of where I'd want to see spark the sell model in the overnight session. Now, this is a trade that I will not take just because it's in the overnight session. I only want to be taking trades in the New York AM session most of the time. But we'll kind of see how this forms in the overnight session, see what kind of price action looks like when we wake up tomorrow. Market doesn't open until, kind of mark this on the chart, so we can kind of have an idea of what price will look like. But we definitely have a lot of time for price to build. Yeah, we have a decent amount of time for price to build here. So we'll kind of see what happens in the overnight session to kind of give us a better understanding of what price wants to do. To be honest, I think the best case scenario for us to have more confidence with tomorrow is I'd honestly like to see this get ran through in the overnight session, because if this gets ran through in the overnight session, that means we set up for a better bearish trade at New York Open. Because if we sell off, I'd like to see this honestly generate liquidity. And then if we did something like this, then we're like, okay, markets are going to open, and then we're already in the daily for value gap. Sell sides or buy sides already been taken. And then at market open, we can then look for a short. And I think that'd be a way better opportunity instead of us selling off in the overnight session and then us like waking up and we're already down here. If that's the case, I'm probably expecting us to have lower probability price action, lower probability setup. So the best thing to do, wait till market opens tomorrow. We'll kind of see what happens in the overnight session. But overall bias is bearish. Obviously, order flow has been continuously bearish. We'll see what happens in the overnight, but that's kind of what I would want to see. This sells model definitely could play out in the overnight session if we want to continue to sell off to go take these internal lows. I think these are, yeah, this was last London session. New York AM's down here, so we have a lot of room back towards the downside. We currently are in a bullish 15-minute fair value gap, but again, if we do want to continue this buy model towards that high, I'd like to see this kind of hold and then run that 15-minute. But I definitely think we'll at least kind of rebalance back to equilibrium most likely of this range, which means if we're going to go back to equilibrium, we'll probably go take New York AM low, which is right here. And then we could maybe put in an SMT down here and then look to see overnight session kind of move us higher. So like maybe something like this. And then put like an SMT down here. But again, this is the kind of charting where it's like it doesn't really do us any good service to try to be like, oh, this could happen and then this could happen. It's like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. The best thing for us to do is be reactive to it. So we'll see what happens in the overnight session. We're going to be patient going into tomorrow. We have 8:30 news, so I want to see if data highs, data lows gets put in relationship to the model, if that wants to be something that we can use to possibly play off of. But overall, I'm excited for the week. I think we look good. I like how price has been building last week. I think there's been a lot of opportunity the last week and 2 weeks. So for the people that are watching on YouTube, if you guys don't know, I've been talking next week. I'm going to be going back to my main live account, sizing back up. So I'm super excited to do that. I'll be making some recaps on YouTube for you guys about those trades as well. But yeah, let's jump into some questions. I know the first thing, actually, let's go over the draw because one of you guys was talking about that tweet. So to give you guys a little bit of context, and we'll kind of jump into this because it is definitely a very, very important part of my trading and should be as well for you. So I made this tweet last night while I was downtown. And I said, the foundation of my trading is the draw and liquidity. Let me tell you why. If I don't know where the market is drawing to, number one, how am I supposed to know where to look for manipulation? How am I supposed to know what SMT is valid or not? How am I supposed to know if we are breaking structure or sweeping liquidity? And how am I supposed to recognize order flow and most importantly, let it build conviction? There needs to be a foundation in your trading to build off of. Without it, you're lost. So let's take a little bit of time and talk about why the draw and liquidity is the foundation, how we can recognize it and build conviction with it, because all of these things are so important about what I just talked about. Now, trading ICT concepts, algorithmic concepts, the most important thing of these concepts is context. If you were somebody that originally discovered ICT concepts, and let's say you were watching some other influencer or trader, and you're like, oh, fair value gaps. And I know when I first started trading ICT, I was like looking at every single fair value gap possible, taking a trade, and then losing and being like, oh, these concepts don't work. And that's just not the case, because context is the most important reason why these concepts work. Because without context, it doesn't fucking matter what you draw on a chart. I could draw a line, I could draw a fair value gap, and you just somehow magically expect the market to respect your little box. No, it doesn't fucking work like that. So the context in which we need to understand is, number one, why does the market move? Market moves for 4 reasons: hunt liquidity, rebalance to inefficiencies, rebalance to equilibrium, and generate liquidity. 4 reasons why markets move. I'm gonna say that again. Target liquidity, hunt liquidity, rebalance to inefficiencies, rebalance to equilibrium, generate liquidity. Now, you could say that rebalancing inefficiencies is actually hunting liquidity, because that's internal liquidity on a lower time frame, right? So now that we understand, okay, that's number one. So it's like, if we were going to understand, okay, what are the reasons why markets move? Well, the biggest one is hunt liquidity. So if I am framing a trade and I want to take a trade, that means that every single trade that I take should have the foundation of one of those 4 things: hunt liquidity, rebalance to an inefficiency, equilibrium, or generate liquidity. Now, I would cross off the last one because we're not really taking a trade based off of generating liquidity, right? We're not taking a trade based off of that. That is a reason why the market will move, but we're not really expecting the market to generate liquidity, right? We're recognizing it. So Now that we have an understanding of like why the market moves, how can we frame a trade based off of that knowledge, right? Because it's like if you just view the market as up, down, up, down, up, down, and you're drawing lines on a chart without understanding as to why the market should move, it's like, okay, you're going to take a trade without any sort of confidence or conviction as to why the market should move. And most importantly, why the market should move when you enter, because that's what trading is. If you take an entry, that means that you expect the market to go somewhere fairly soon and not in the opposite direction, right? So for example, if I was to take a short right now, that means I'm expecting the market to go lower fairly soon and not go back to this high, right? Now, the context behind why this fair value gap would work, or the context behind why this is a change in the state, there has to be context. Now, in this specific example, there's a couple things that need to be given for more context here. Now, what would make this an A+ setup? Number one, if it was a New York session. Number two, this, because this would be a forever model. Right now, the only thing that's stopping this from being a forever model is this SMT. If there was a bearish SMT here, this gives us all the confidence that we could possibly need, because number one, it's like, okay, market's going to hunt liquidity and rebalance to inefficiencies and also rebalance back to equilibrium. Well, if we mark this entire range, we can say, okay, we're going to go back to equilibrium of the range. Number two, we've had some sort of manipulation. Liquidity has been taken, right? Because that means on ES, this high has been taken, NQ has not, because then we wouldn't have an SMT. So ES has taken some sort of form of liquidity, NQ has not. We're putting in a lower high, meaning that there's manipulation. After those things have happened, then this is context. This is contextual now, right? Why do I expect this fair value gap to hold? If I look at any fair value gap on the chart, you should be able to tell me, number one, if it's important or not. And 90% of the time, it should be not important. Because you know how many fair value gaps get created every single day? You know how many fair value gaps that you could probably go look on the chart and see? But guess what? They don't fucking matter most of the time. Why don't they matter? Because there's no context. If you look at every fair value gap and you just trade a fair value gap, or you change a chain in the state without context, you're going to fail. You're going to get ran through. You're going to end up losing conviction. And that's the most important thing, is you're going to be looking for the wrong things, fail a bunch of times, and end up being like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. This strategy doesn't work. No, it's because you're not perceiving it the right way. You're not viewing it the right way. So going back to this tweet, the foundation of my trading is drawing liquidity. If I don't know where the market is drawing to, how am I supposed to know where to look for manipulation? What does that mean? Well, if I was to have an understanding of what the drawing liquidity is, so like, for example, if I'm going to draw a chart here, and I was to say, we're kind of moving up, and, so we're generating buy side, and we're, generating sell side, and we're kind of in this range, right? And I'm going to look at this and I say, actually, I'll ask you guys first. Do you guys think that there's a clear drawn liquidity in this chart? Yes or no? Yes, highs, you're wrong. You're wrong. Let me tell you why you're wrong. If you think that this is a clear drawn liquidity, you're going to keep failing and you're building false conviction. Just because there's highs there does not mean we're going to those highs right now. There's no manipulation in this chart. Again, what are the reasons why markets move? To hunt liquidity. But without manipulation, why would the market go hunt liquidity? The market is a relationship of buy side to sell side in forms of manipulation. If there is not manipulation or a reason to go to those highs, we're not going to go to those highs. How many times have you been like, oh, we're so clearly going to buy side here. We're so clearly going to buy side. And then the market just does something like this. And then we manipulate and then we go take those highs. Because if you're focused on just looking at a fucking high and being like, oh, there's highs there, the market's going to go there. No, it's not going to fucking go there, because that's not how the market works. Unless there's a reason. Now, what would give me more context here? What would give me more context intraday to make me think that we're going towards these highs? Let's say this. Let's say market open is right here. And let's say we're looking at a 5-minute chart. So market's about to open. And let's say there's a fair value gap here. Now, let's say sell side has not been taken. And there's also equal lows down here. Now, what could give me possible conviction to say we want to go towards buy side? Internal manipulation, because we have to generate, think about it, for the market to go higher, we must go lower. For the market to go lower, we must go higher. So if market opens and we do either one of two things. Number one, we immediately just push up and take buy side. If that's the case, I'm bearish, right? Especially if there's more context on the bigger time frame. This is where context is important, right? Because you could be looking at this saying, oh, going back to the tweet, how am I supposed to know if we're breaking structure or sweeping liquidity? How do I know on the bigger time frame if we are breaking structure to the upside or sweeping liquidity? What is the bigger time frame context? Context meaning, is there sell side resting below? Context meaning, is there an imbalance to the left of us on the bigger time frame? Context meaning, is there a bigger time frame SMT? What is the context? Or market opens and we do something like this. We pull back. We start building structure. We chop a little bit. And then maybe we have something like this. Internal liquidity has a form of manipulation. And let's say we have an SMT here. And let's say a fair value gap get ran through. So now there's context. There's a reason here because our model has given to us. This is the model. This is our forever model, right? SMT, a reason for price to go higher, liquidity swept, fair value gap gets ran through, change in the state, right? So I'm not looking at this, right? Cut off everything else here. If I'm looking at this, I don't fucking give a shit if we're going towards highs. I'm not looking for us to go towards highs. I'm not looking for anything. I'm being reactive. I'm letting the market tell me what we want to do. Because looking at this chart, I can hypothesize. I can hypothesize and say, oh, I think we're going to buy side. Oh, I think we're going to sell side. But without this, I don't really know. You don't really know. You're choosing to think that you know better besides, instead of just waiting and letting it fucking tell you. Doesn't that sound fucking stupid? Don't you sound fucking stupid? Don't you feel like a fool because you decide to think that you know better instead of just waiting to actually be told what the fuck the market's going to do? But we feel like, number one, we're going to miss out on something. Or number two, we have to prove that we know what we're doing. And when the market is not showing us what we want to see, we feel like we're losing conviction. No! Guess what? You do not need to know what the market is doing 24/7. You should not know what the market is doing 24/7. And if you do not know what the market is doing 24/7, guess what? You're normal. That does not mean you don't know what you're doing. That means if you come into the market and you see this, I can say, hey, I don't know if we want to go to buy side right now. We could, but I'm not going to do anything until the market tells me we want to go to buy side. Does that make me wrong? No. I push my ego to the side because I'm an observer. I do not inflict my opinion. I do not inflict my will onto the market. I react to what I am being told. And until this comes into play, I don't give a fuck if there are highs above or not. There is no reason for me to take a trade because I am reactive to what the market is showing me. So until this is given, I need context. So going back to this tweet again, how am I supposed to know if we're breaking structure or sweeping liquidity? Like we talked about in the bigger time frame. How am I supposed to know what SMT is valid or not? How am I supposed to know what SMT is valid or not? When I look at this, how am I supposed to know if this SMT is valid? Well, what if this was the case? Is this less or more likely to play out? Less likely. Why is this less likely to play out? Because we've already had manipulation of the buy side. So what does this most likely possibly do here? Well, if you look at it, this is probably the change in the state. And the market could do something like this. This SMT works, but it only does this. To sweep liquidity, break structure, and then go take sell side. And then possibly do something like this. But if I'm thinking and I'm guessing we're going to go to buy side, I can't be reactive to it. I'm inflicting my opinion on it without being reactive to what the market is showing me. So the reason why this tweet is so important is because for me to build anything here, for me to build anything of this, there needs to be a draw on liquidity. Now, this trade is a lot more clear if this is the case, right? A lot more clear. This is confident, right? This is confident because there's more reason for the market to go to that high, right? Way more reason. A lot more confidence because sell side's taken. We've had displacement of the upside on a bigger time frame. We've had a change in the state. And now there's internal manipulation and a model in favor of the draw. But if the model is not in favor of the draw, then I'm most likely going to be in a lower probability setup. So if I come into the market and I don't have an idea of what the draw on liquidity is, what do? Justin, what do I do if I come into the market and I don't know what the draw is? What do I do? Guess what? You do nothing. You do nothing until you do know what the draw on liquidity is. Justin, you expect me to just sit there and do nothing? But I have to press a button. I have to take a trade. I have to do something. No, guess what, brother? You're gonna fucking blow up then. You're gonna blow up then. If you can't fucking sit still and be told and wait and sit on your fucking hands like a good boy and be told what to do, you're gonna fucking lose. I'm sorry. And sometimes you have to touch the hot stove maybe 50 fucking times for you to get the point. I'm not your babysitter. I'm going to tell you how it fucking is because I wish somebody did for me. I wish somebody talked to me like this when I had this problem. I'm putting it right in front of your fucking face. There's no way that you can be like, oh, Justin's wrong here. No, because guess what? I've lived it. I've lived all the problems you guys have. I've done it. I've been past it. I've gotten through it. And so I don't want to see you guys make the same mistake over and over and over and over and over again. Because I had to do that. Let me do it for you. Let me make those mistakes for you so you don't have to. Listen to Uncle Jay. Let me give you some knowledge. And stop trying to think that you're a big hot shot and be an observer and let the market tell you what to do and be submissive and say, oh, market shows me nothing. Doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm doing. It means that I am not going to do anything right now. But the problem is so many of you guys, and I had this problem too, so don't think that you're alone. So many new traders think that if they look at the market and they don't know what the market wants to do, that they think that they don't know what they're doing. They think that they don't know how to trade. They think that they don't know what their strategy is. They're lost. They lose conviction. And it's literally all that is your brain and the enemy playing tricks on you to make you think that you're unknowledgeable. That's like me sitting at a fucking desk at Jeopardy waiting for a question to show up for me to answer, and there's no question. And because there's no question for me to answer, I'm not knowledgeable. I'm not knowledgeable because there's no question for me to answer. Oh my God. And guess what? When there is a question for me to answer and I know how to answer it, I'm going to fucking answer it. Doesn't that sound fucking stupid? But until you perceive these things like this and like somebody's able to show it to you, in reality, you realize how fucking blind you are. In the best way possible. In the best way possible, you're able to realize like, oh, fuck. How did I not think of that? How did I not realize that? But that's how you need to think. That's how you need to perceive these things. Being a good trader is about not thinking you're a good trader. Because when you think that you control the market, when you think that you're in control, that I'm the best fucking trader there. I can fucking do this shit. No, you fucking can't. You are being told what to do. And it's just like in the biggest thing, and it's so funny because at church today, like this sermon it's such a relationship to this. It's exactly like your relationship with God. When we think that we're in control that we make the decisions, that we control the outcome, ego gets in the way, and we aren't submissive to what's being told to us, we fail. God says, okay, buddy, I'm going to let you make the decision on your own. And then you get fucking knocked down just for God to come be like, all right, you want to listen to me now? Let me pick you back up. You want to listen to me now? And you're like, yeah, I do. But then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. But he'll pick you back up still until you're able to be like, okay, I don't want to do this on my own. I'm just going to let the market tell me what to do, and I'm going to let God be my guidance and put my ego to the side and say, what's best for me is being under submission. Let the market tell you what to do and be okay with not being told. If you sit in front of the market and the market does not tell you what to do, that's fine. That's fine. You sit there and you do nothing. And you get satisfaction from not doing something on your own. Because as soon as you try to force something and be like, ooh, I think there's something here though. It's not clear. It's not my model. It's not screaming at me to take, but I'm going to take it anyway. Number one, you're building false conviction because not only are you hurting your edge and your confidence because you're taking bad setups, and then when you lose, then you have a mental spiral being like, oh my God, I suck. And then it ends up sparking, that continuation until you end up building more and more bad habits and then end up losing more and more and more. But it just causes self-destruction. The best trades that you will take, and I say this all the time to you guys, my students, you will be the most successful in trading when you feel like you are doing the least amount of work. Because it truly does feel like you are sitting there, not worrying, not caring to take a trade, not thinking about making money, until you look at the market and you see, oh, there's an SMT, oh, there's the draw, that's clear, oh, there's a change of state, oh, this is my trade. This is it right here. It's in front of my face. And you go here and you let me sell or let me buy, and it ends up working out, and you're like, oh my gosh. Wait, I literally didn't even try to do that, and I did it. And it works perfectly, and it plays out in divine order, and it feels effortless. But the times in which you lose, guess what? It doesn't feel effortless. Isn't that funny? Shouldn't losing feel effortless? Not winning? Shouldn't winning be hard? It's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite. You have to be under submission. It's the idea of striving versus arriving. If you are striving for success, you will hit a brick wall. Because you are forcing your will onto the market, not being reactive to it. You are trying to see things that are not there. If you exchange that with arriving, and you sit there and wait to arrive at your destination, what is the destination? Your model, and you don't do anything until you arrive at that destination, that is how you become successful. You stop caring to post fucking your little wins on social media. Oh, I have to take a trade today. I have to take a trade today because I'm $50 away from passing my funded account. I have to. Brother, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? So, to finish up on this question, drawn liquidity is the foundation. We have to understand where the market's drawing to, because then we have to understand what the context is, right? If there's an SMT gets put in, we can look for manipulation in the opposite direction. For the market to move higher, we must move lower. For the market to move lower, we must move higher. And until we get that, and until we have an idea of where the market is drawing towards, we don't really know unless more context is given. Wait for the context to be given, and then use our concepts to build off of. Then look for SMTs. Then look for the change in the state. Then look for inverse for value gaps. What other questions you guys got for me? Thoughts on Friday trade against higher time frame. New York AM low already swept is the issue. Stopped at break even. Let's take a peek. Can I open this on my browser? I remember this too, yeah. This was TGIF. Honestly, I think this is fine. I really don't even think this is bad. I mean, you moved your stop back to break even. Again, I could say hindsight to take off partials at consequent encroachment of the wick. And it's like, okay, what would be the reason for me to do that? Well, the recent low already got taken. There was a bullish SMT, so it's like consequent encroachment. You could take partials there. But honestly, I think this is a fine trade. I think the entry is great. I think the management is great. You stayed patient until it came all the way back up to get stopped at break even. I think this is a totally fine trade, bro. I think it's totally fine. Do you still use standard deviation for profit targets? Yes, but I don't let it really affect. Standard deviation is like an add-on. It's a conviction. It doesn't change my bias, right? It's all it does is give me a projection and add conviction. So like, for example, it's like, oh, if I'm targeting buy side here and I can look at this manipulation, it's like, oh, I want to see standard deviation line up with buy side. Oh, it kind of does. You know, it's right there. I want to see a continuation towards it, right? It doesn't really do much for me. What it does is it gives me, like, a lot of times for me at least, the biggest thing I want to use standard deviation for, and that the more that time goes on, the more that I understand it, is when to expect a pullback. Because like we talk about, what happens when standard deviation is respected? Pullback to equilibrium of the range. So if we were to do something like this, when we hold standard deviation, what can I possibly expect? Going back to equilibrium of that previous price leg, right? So a lot of the times when I'm looking for a move, depending on what the model is, if we hold that level, I would expect to go back to equilibrium. So it's not only a price target for possible runners or possible entries in general, but more so a way for me to be like just responsive to say, okay, I could possibly expect the market. Now, am I taking a trade here? No. Am I like looking for shorts in standard deviation? Not unless there's an existing model. Just because we're in standard deviation does not mean I'm taking a short. Now, what's a possibility for me to take a short? Well, if there's an actual fucking model. If there's an actual fucking model, I can take a trade, right? If there's something like this, then sure, I can take a short. Now, what would I be targeting first here? Internal liquidity. How do we know whether to enter off an inverse fair value gap or breakup structure entry or retracement to a fair value gap after displacement to enter? Context. And again, I won't just give you a broad answer to say context. What I'm going to say is it depends on a couple things. For me, the more that time goes on, I want to be taking my entries off the initial break. Because if I'm taking my entries off the initial break and if I'm taking an entry based off my model, that means I should be so precise where I expect the market to go there now. Like when I enter, I don't want a lot of drawdown. I don't want any drawdown, to be honest. If I'm a good trader and I'm being reactive to what the market is showing me, the way that the forever model is set up is that you should not endure a lot of drawdown. It should be exactly what that we should go to the draw, right? An SMT has been in place, showed manipulation. We had internal manipulation, a change in the state, a fair value gap got ran through. Many times we will not pull back. Why does the market need it? Everything has done what it's needed to do to the upside. If we're looking at this chart, and let's say, change up the context here. I do not need to wait for this to enter. What can I do to enter? if market opens and we do this, I can enter as soon as we close below a candle. Where do I put my stop? At whatever the recent high is. Because many times we'll do this. And then we'll rebalance. So there's two trades here. And I want you to pay attention to this because this is what you'll recognize in the charts when you're trading. There's two trades here. There's the initial break, and normally on the initial break, we won't pull back. What will we do? We'll go hunt internal liquidity. This is where I partial. Then we'll pull back to equilibrium after internal liquidity is taken. And we'll have another internal model to then continue lower. So there's two entries here because there's two models. There's an internal market maker sell model that happens on this move here towards internal liquidity because this is a buy model, sell model. And this is the bigger time frame. So it's fractal. This is the sell model, but also this is a sell model. So there's two entries. Now, I recommend the more that time goes on, I want to be taking my trades on the initial break. If we run an inverse for value gap and have a change in the state, I'm entering short. How do you know to look for manipulation on lower time frame or higher time frame? You look at both. Price is fractal. Manipulation will happen on every single time frame. Took this trade last week. It was on the 5-second, but it looked great nonetheless. Had a lot of confluence. Do you think this was valid on the 5-second too wild? I think this is fine. This is the internal model. So again, the same thing that we just looked at, right? Internal manipulation, changing the state. You waited for the pullback. What's the internal model here? Because you're taking it on this. This is a model in itself. Can I put this in Miro? Fuck, I don't have it. God dang it. Actually, let me do this. Screenshot, and then I'll do this. Let me make it so you guys can see this too. Okay. Let me get a drawing here. Okay. This fair value gap getting ran through is the sell model. Because what's happening here? You're pulling back into a bigger time. Think about it this way. If I was to show you this right here, just this chart, right? Forget about everything else. Forget about everything else. If I was to show you just this right here, and you're able to be, oh, there's a fair value gap to the left. Oh, there's a lot of generated liquidity here. And I was to say, this isn't a 5-second. This is actually a 5-minute. And guess what? I could totally do that. Guess what? Because you have no fucking clue what time frame it is unless you are looking at what TradingView is showing you on the top. What does that mean? Price is fractal. What does fractal mean? If I was to draw a square, and then I say, hey, this square is actually made up of 4 other squares. And in that square, it's actually made up of 4 other squares. And that square is actually made up. Does any one of these squares differ from the other one? No, they're all fucking squares. A model inside of a model inside of a model is still a model. Doesn't matter what time frame it's on. It will be fractal. So if I was to show you this chart right here and say, hey, this is a 5-minute, it would still be the exact same model. Rejecting a bigger time frame imbalance. Internal liquidity is taken from this internal high. Inverse for value gap. Changing the state. You short because there's external liquidity resting below. It's a great trade. Doesn't matter what time frame it is. I get people message me saying, Justin, why are you taking trades on such low time frames? Why are you taking trades on a 15-second? Because they don't understand. Price is fractal. If you can align the bigger time frame confluences and align the bigger time frame bias, it's actually a better trade. It's a better trade for me to take a trade on a lower second chart by aligning that the 5-minute is also bearish and then also taking a trade on the 1-minute or the 30-second than it is for me to just take a trade like this on a 30-minute or a 15-minute or a 5-minute because I'm aligning the biases. And guess what? If one time frame tells me something, and then I zoom in and the exact same bias is shown on a lower time frame, that's more conviction. That's more confidence because it's telling me the exact same thing. And what happens if it's telling me the exact same thing? If the 15-second is telling me we want to short and the 15-minute is telling me we want to short, that means, guess what? I'm expecting it soon because that's how price moves. How can I expect the market to go now? Because that's what we care about, right? When we're trading, we don't care if the market's going to the drawn liquidity in 15 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour or 4 hours. We don't benefit from that. When we enter and we're trading intraday, that means that we expect the market to go to RTP fairly soon. Correct? Correct. So if I expect the market to go there fairly soon, and I overlap a 15-minute bearish bias with a 1-minute bearish bias and a 5-minute bearish bias, that means, guess what? We're going to sell real fucking soon because everything is aligned. Every single thing just shown the exact same thing, zoomed in, zoomed in, zoomed in. It's the square inside of a square inside of a square, all telling me the exact same thing. But you wait for the square to be a square, and then you wait for this square to be a square, and then you wait for this square to be a square, and that's your entry. If that makes sense. That's kind of a crazy analogy, but if it works in your brain, it works in your brain like it does in mine. Wait for a square. Once that square has a square, this is your entry model. And that's how you know that price is going to move exactly when you expect it to. That's how you time the market. If you want to know how I time the market, this is it right here. Thoughts on this? There's relative equal lows with a big daily imbalances draw. I need a little bit more context for this. Need a little bit more context for this. Again, I can see the entry model, but again, I need more context, right? Why are we shorting here? I see there's an imbalance here, but what's below us? Why are we targeting this for value gap? I need to see what's to the left of us. Entry model looks fine though, but I still need to see more for me to like give you full clarity on if it's good or not. Justin, do you think that there's any possibility that the algorithm could, for whatever reason, change if they understood that most retailers understand that the algorithm they currently use? Absolutely not. Because we make up fucking less than 1% of the volume traded intraday. Why the fuck would they change it? That's like me being a top business owner that's like me being Apple and making an iPhone, and then a little kid comes up with his little cardboard fucking cutout of his own phone and being like, I'm going to be a competitor. Does that mean Apple's going to change their product because a fucking 5-year-old just came up with a cardboard iPhone? No. It impacts them. It doesn't impact them at all. We are so small and minuscule compared to the rest of institutional order flow that is traded within the market. Doesn't matter. Justin, do another webinar with TJR. Justin, have you ever tried using auction market theory along with order flow to complement your trading style with using ICT? Why? Why? Why would I? Oh, more shiny things to add. Oh, no. I don't fucking care. The problem with you guys is the problem with you guys is this. You'll have a little bit of success, and then let's say 1 week you don't have success. And then somebody comes to you and says, oh, have you tried using auction market theory? Have you tried using quarterly theory? Have you tried using an RSI and an EMA crossover? And you say, no, I haven't tried that. And because you've been losing for a week, you're like, oh my God, wait, maybe I'm missing something. And then you reset the fucking cycle. And then you go back to fucking square one again. You want to know why you fucking suck and you're not seeing success? Is because as soon as you plant the seed, as soon as you take your seed and you plant it in a pot and you keep watering it, as soon as it starts to grow, you fucking rip it out and put it in a new pot. YouTube is rage baiting? No, not at all. I am just so passionate. I wouldn't speak like this. I am, the only reason I would ever show this or act like this in energy, I don't do this in other parts of my life. You will never hear me talk like this outside of this environment. You will never hear me speak like this outside of this environment. You want to know why? Because guess what? I fucking care. I actually care. If I didn't care, I'd be like, oh, guys, liquidity, man. You guys got to start using liquidity. You guys got to start using liquidity. No, I fucking care. I'm actually going to tell you what the fucking truth is. I'm going to be straight up with you because guess what? I actually know what the fuck I'm doing. Guess what? Justin's actually, maybe Justin actually knows what he's talking about. All praise to the Lord. Thank you, Lord, for giving me the opportunity to share with you guys this information. Because guess what? I didn't do this on my own. But I'm in a position to help you and give you this knowledge because I actually care. All praise is to the Lord. I have not done this by myself. Justin, if someone who is on the come up wants to collab with you, they're a successful trader who trades similar, would you do a collab? Guys, collabs don't do anything for me. If I like you as an individual and like I want to talk with you and communicate with you, then yeah. But it's like that doesn't do anything for me as a trader right now. Like talking to other traders doesn't make me a better trader. I'd love to talk with you about life. I'd love to talk with you about other things. I'd love to communicate with you and be friends and push each other. But like me just being like, oh, you trade, I trade, let's go fucking do something. No, it's like a waste of time. At least where I'm at in my current, at least for me. For many of you, I say the complete opposite. I say for you, it is absolutely important to be around other like-minded individuals, especially when you first start trading. Because when I first started, yes, that would have benefited me absolutely. But where I am right now, no. What are your thoughts on the month of Ramadan? I'm a Muslim and interests me since you're a very religious Christian, but I've seen so yeah, I was curious on what your perspective is on the month of Ramadan. I can't really give a good enough perspective because I don't know enough. And I'll be honest, I don't know enough to really say something. And it's like, I'm not going to like pull something out of my ass and be like, oh, listen to me because I have a following. I don't know. I really don't know anything about Ramadan. I don't know. So I really can't say. But I do know one thing. I do know that Jesus is king. And I do know that Jesus loves you. And I do know that Jesus loves every single person in this call. And I do know that Jesus wants to draw near to you. What does that even mean, Adam? Do you ever trade Forex? No. Strictly futures, to be honest. I just never have found, there doesn't need to be another shiny object for me to be like, oh, because NQ's not showing me something, I'm going to go find something else. That's like me fucking being like, oh, my girlfriend's not here, I'm going to go find another woman. Like, doesn't that sound fucking stupid? At least for me. Now, again, I'm not saying that's for everybody. Like, trade Forex if you love Forex. Go for it. That's just my perspective on, like, for me, it doesn't do any good for me. It's just an excuse because I can't sit still and I can't wait for opportunity, so I'm going to go look somewhere else for it. And all that does is inflict bad habits. Justin, how do you put God into your daily... where does this go? How do you put God into your day-to-day life, even when you make a lot of money in trading? How do you fight your ego and pride as a trader? You submit and you're humble. And you say, I did not do this. Every success that I have in my life is because God has paved the way and has done so many things behind the scenes that I can't comprehend for me to be able to achieve the success that I have. And as soon as you try to take credit for it, and as soon as you try to become prideful, and that was exactly what our seminar was today in our church, was on pride and how dangerous pride is. And the most dangerous thing about pride isn't being prideful. It's losing your relationship with God. It's becoming distant from God. And when you're close to God and then you become distant to God, it's the worst. It's absolute hell. It's absolute hell. And if you want to experience true peace, true happiness, you humble yourself. I am only here to be a servant. I am not better than any one of you. I don't know more than any one of you. I'm not above any one of you. I am of service to the people in my life. And I feel the most grateful, happy, clear-minded, and success comes my way. Because God says there's a piece of scripture, I'm not exactly sure, so somebody please give me exactly what it is. But there's a piece of scripture that says, put yourself last, and you will end up getting everything else. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it has something to do with you put yourself last, and you will end up first. Be of service to other people. There's no difference and no value. Doesn't matter how much money I have. Doesn't matter what car I drive. Doesn't matter how much of a following I have. We are equals. We're all children of God. And I love you just like I love any other neighbor. Justin, question for traders who have passed multiple accounts but always somehow fail them. What are some tips? Well, you got to understand, like, you got to ask yourself, what is the reason you failed them? There's a couple, there could be many different things. I can't give you a cookie cutter answer, right? Now, many other people will give you a cookie cutter answer, bro, be disciplined, bro, be disciplined. No, like, I want to give you the best answer I possibly can, but I need to know what you do, what you did, what is your specific struggle? Is it you immediately come into a funded and you over leverage, your size too big and you take three losses and it's blown? Or you're taking too many trades, you're not stepping away when you need to? Like, what is that problem? So my biggest advice to you is, if you keep blowing up your funded account, if you keep blowing it up, that means you're most likely doing the same thing over and over again. And you haven't learned your lesson. And there's a reason why you are still being taught that lesson. It's because, guess what? You haven't learned it. You haven't learned what that lesson is. And so until you be honest with yourself and understand what that problem is and how to fix it, you're going to continue to make the same mistake over and over again. I'm gonna give you guys some piece of advice. And this is mainly for the YouTube chat, because my students aren't fucking stupid. Not saying all of you are, but for the people who live life as a game, don't take anything seriously. Maybe you're getting high all day. Maybe you're laughing because you just like posting dumb shit in the chat, trying to rage bait. I'm not saying this because I'm upset. Some of you will realize that while you're watching somebody on YouTube and some person behind a screen right now talk to you heart to heart, give you advice, being where maybe you want to end up being, making the money that maybe you want to make, and you don't take it as an opportunity to learn, not saying just me, but I'm saying anyone in general, I wish you the best. Oh, you guys wonder why I don't go live on YouTube, man. Fuck. Any other questions you guys got for me? We'll answer one more question, then we'll hop off. What are your thoughts on NASDAQ wanting to add 24/7 trading in a little over a year? Honestly, I don't really think it's going to do anything good for the market, to be honest. Because in my opinion, if we add 24/7 trading hours, that means that there's just going to be less volatility in certain sessions. Like there's no longer going to be sessions. So if New York open, there is no open. So there's no influx of orders coming into the market that gives us that level of volatility. So until it actually happens and we're able to see what the reaction is from that change, I don't think there's a reason to worry about it until it's in front of our face. But I'm really not sure until it's there. Do forever models appear every day? Almost. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and end off in prayer, and then we'll end the session. Father God, thank you for this session that I'm able to come on and be a steward to you, God, and share knowledge and wisdom, God. I pray for everybody in this call to have an amazing week, Lord. I pray that you continue to touch their hearts. I pray that you give discipline and patience to the people that are needing it in their trading, Lord. I pray that you bring to light the things that people are failing to see in their lives, God, in their trading. I pray that you give them confidence. I pray that you give them learning lessons that they're able to take with gracious and know that the mistakes that they're making are for a reason and that they're able to perceive it that way, Lord. I pray that you continue to watch over every single person in this call, Lord. I pray that they have a blessed week, and I pray this in Christ's name. Amen. Alrighty, guys. Enjoy your night. For the people on YouTube, this was a little taste of the charting session of the mentorship. If you want to be a part of our group and get away from this YouTube chat and be around actual mature people, the link is in the description. Book a call with our team. We'd love to have you. Enjoy your night. Get some rest. For my students, I will see you guys in the morning for some live trading on Monday. Let's have a great start to the week. I wish you all the best. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning for my students. And for YouTube people, I'll see you guys in the next video, in the next live maybe. So enjoy your night. I'll see you guys soon.